The goal of passive and active reconnaissance is to identify an exploitable target. And the goal of vulnerability assessment is to find the security flaws that are most likely to support the tester's or attacker's objective. For example, unauthorized access, denial of services, or modification of data. The vulnerabilities assessment during the exploit phase of the kill chain focuses on creating the access to achieve the objective mapping of the vulnerabilities to line up the exploits and maintain persistent access to the target. Thousands of exploitable vulnerabilities have been identified, and most are associated with at least one proof of concept code file or technique to allow the system to be compromised. Nevertheless, the underlying principle that governs success are the same across networks, operating systems, and applications. In this course, you will learn using online and local vulnerability resources. You will also learn writing your own Nmap script using the Nmap scripting engine, web and application specific scanners. You will also learn threat modeling in general. You will learn how to select and customize multiple vulnerability scanners. Vulnerability scanning employs automating processes and applications to identify vulnerabilities in a network, system, operating system, or application that may be exploitable. When performed correctly, a vulnerability can deliver an inventory of devices, known vulnerabilities that have been actively scanned for, and usually a confirmation of how compliant the devices are with various policies and regulations. Unfortunately, vulnerability scans are loud. They deliver multiple packets that are easily detected by most network controls and make stealth almost impossible to achieve. They also suffer from, for the most important part, vulnerability scanners are signature based, so they can only detect known vulnerabilities, and only if there is an existing recognition signature that the scanner can apply to the target. To a penetration tester, the most effective scanners are open source, so they allow the tester to rapidly modify code to detect new vulnerabilities. And also, scanners produce large volumes of output, frequently containing false positive results that can lead a tester astray. In particular, networks with different operating systems can produce false positives with a rate as high as 70%. And scanners may have a negative impact on the network. They can create a network latency or cause the failure of some devices. So it's recommended to tweak the scan by removing denial of service type plugins during initial scans. And in certain jurisdictions, scanning is considered hacking and may constitute an illegal act. And there are multiple commercial and open source products that perform vulnerability scans. Beginning a career in ethical hacking and penetration testing can be very exciting, and most of the time our minds will be a bit overwhelmed, causing us to visit only the lectures about exploiting a system in its course, such as this. So, however, conducting a penetration test is like starting a new project at home. Before you build a pool in your backyard, there are few things you must consider, such as the space that's available, the cost of materials, the contractor's fees, and other details. Information gathering is a very important phase of the hacking life cycle and penetration testing. In this lecture, we will focus on passive information gathering techniques and methods. We will learn how to use the internet to get us the information and the specific details we need about our target by using both online resources and tools on Kali Linux. In this section, we will be covering these topics: reconnaissance and footprinting, understanding passive information gathering, understanding open source using the top open source intelligent tools. We will also find the data leaks in cloud resources. We will understand whois and copying websites with HTTRAC. We will also find subdomains using Sublister. By the target technologies and security controls. Reconnaissance and footprinting. The various phases of hacking include reconnaissance, scanning, gaining access, maintaining access, and clearing tracks. The reconnaissance phase is the most important phase of a penetration test, since this is when the ethical hacker or penetration tester conducts extensive research into gathering as much information about the target as possible. Furthermore, footprinting will help create a profile of the target, gathering profile information such as running services, open ports, and operating systems. We will now look at both reconnaissance and footprinting in more detail. From a military perspective, reconnaissance is the observation and research of an enemy target. In cybersecurity, as a penetration tester, we use various tools and techniques to gather detailed information about the target organization and its underlying infrastructure. Reconnaissance is vital in the field of penetration testing. As a penetration tester, we definitely need to know about our target as well as its vulnerabilities and operating systems before we attempt to gain access via exploitation. The information gathered during the reconnaissance phase will help us to choose the right tools and techniques to successfully exploit the target. Reconnaissance can be divided into two main categories: passive and active. Passive means uses an indirect approach and does not engage the target. Active here means directly engages the target to gather specific details. Next, we will dive into understanding of footprinting in ethical hacking. Footprinting. Footprinting is a procedure whereby as much information as possible is gathered in relation to a target. In footprinting, the objective is to obtain specific details about a target, such as its operating systems and the service versions of running applications. The information that's collected can be used in various ways to gain access to the target systems, network, or an organization. Footprinting allows a penetration tester to understand the security posture of the target infrastructure, quickly identify security vulnerabilities on the target systems and networks, and it will also help to create a network map of the organization and reduce the area of focus to the specific IP addresses, domain names, and the types of devices regarding which information is required. Footprinting is a part of the reconnaissance phase. However, since footprinting is able to provide more specific details about the target, we can consider footprinting to be a subset of a reconnaissance phase. So there is a diagram. This shows a visual overview of how reconnaissance and footprinting sit together. So we will also maintain objectives of footprinting, where you will learn collecting network information such as domain names, IP addressing schemes, and network protocols. You will also learn the collecting system information, which is user and group names, routing tables, system names, and types. You will also learn collecting organization information, which is employee detail, company director, and location details. So to successfully obtain information about a target, I would recommend using some footprinting methodologies. For example, checking the search engines such as Yahoo, Bing, and Google, performing Google hacking techniques, information gathering through social media platforms such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also use network footprinting techniques, social engineering, perform the DNS footprinting, use the whois command. You will also perform the email footprinting techniques. So you are now able to differentiate between reconnaissance and footprinting. So both reconnaissance and footprinting are required during the penetration testing, as each provides a vital information about the target. In the next section, we will take a deep dive into passive information gathering. Passive information gathering is when you use an indirect approach to obtain information about your target. This method obtains information that's publicly available from many sources, thus eliminating direct contact with the potential target. Passive information gathering is usually fruitful, and a lot of organizations usually publish information and details about their organization as marketing strategy for their existing and potential customers. Sometimes, when organizations advertise a vacancy on a job recruiting website, the recruiter posts technical requirements for the potential candidate. From a penetration tester's point of view, the technical details can indicate the types of platforms and applications that are running within the organization's network infrastructure. As I mentioned previously, the first stage of penetration test is to gather as much information as possible on a given target or organization. Gathering information prior to exploiting and gaining access to a network or systems will help the penetration tester to narrow the scope of the attack and design specific types of attacks and payloads that are suitable for the attack surface of the target. We will begin our information gathering phase by utilizing the largest computer network in existence, the Internet. This diagram provides a brief overview of the different areas where open source intelligence can be found on a target. The Internet has many platforms, ranging from forums and messaging boards to social media platforms. A lot of companies create an online presence to help market their products and services to potential clients. In doing so, the creation of a company's website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on ensures that their potential customers get to know how they are and what services and products are offered. The marketing department is usually responsible for ensuring that an organization's online presence is felt and that their digital portfolio is always up to date and eye-catching. Organizations usually publish information about themselves on various internet platforms such as blogs and requirement websites. As the internet is so readily available and by accessible, it's quite easy for someone to gather information on a target organization simply by using search engines and determining their underlying infrastructure. The technique is known as open source intelligence, OSENT. So this is where a penetration tester or ethical hacker uses various tools and techniques that harness information that's publicly available on the internet to create a portfolio of the target. OSINT is a type of passive information gathering where the penetration tester does not make direct contact or connection with the actual target, but rather asks legitimate and reliable sources about the target. Over the years, I have noticed a lot of job hunting websites where the recruiters post vacancies for internet technology positions within a company, but the recruiter specifies that an ideal candidate should have experience with the specific technologies. This can be a good thing for the company and the applicant. However, it can be bad as well. So there's a pros and cons of companies posting their technologies on requirement websites. So the pros are the potential candidate will know what type of environment to expect if they are hired. And the potential candidate can determine beforehand whether they have the skill set required for the job or not. But there are also cons here. So the company is partially exposing their technologies to the general public, and the hacker can determine the infrastructure and better select exploits and tools to perform a cyber attack. So let's take a look at this screenshot from a job site. So looking closely, we notice that the job poster has specified that they are using both Cisco and HP networking technologies. So the company uses an Avaya PBX systems as their voice over internet protocol VoIP, and they are running Windows Server 2008 and or 2012 in their network. So as a penetration tester, we can see that the company is using specific types of technologies within their IT infrastructure. From a penetration tester's point of view, if this organization were our target for a penetration test, we could now narrow our scope of attacks to these specific technologies. Now that we have completed this lecture on better understanding open source intelligence, so let's dive into practical of using OSINT tools. Gathering all possible information on a target is always the most important aspect of a penetration tester's thinking to achieve the best outcomes. In cybersecurity, gathering information through publicly available sources is often referred to as open source intelligence, OSINT. So passive reconnaissance through OSINT occurs during the first step of the kill chain when conducting a penetration test or attack against a given organization. An attacker will typically dedicate up to 75% of the overall work effort for a penetration test to reconnaissance, as it is the phase that allows the target to be defined, mapped, and explored for the vulnerabilities that will eventually lead to exploitation. There are two types of reconnaissance: passive reconnaissance, which means direct and indirect, and we also have active reconnaissance. Passive reconnaissance is the art of collecting and analyzing openly available information, usually from the target itself or public sources online. On accessing this information, the tester or attacker does not interact with the target in an unusual manner. requests and activities will be not logged and so will not be traced directly to the tester. Therefore, passive reconnaissance is conducted first to minimize the direct contact that may signal an impending attack or to identify the attacker. In this section, you will learn the principles and practices of passive reconnaissance and open source intelligence, which include basic principles of reconnaissance, open source intelligence, online resources, and dark web search. We will also obtain user information, we will also profile users for password lists, and we will also use the social media to extract password word list. Active reconnaissance, which involves direct interaction with the target, will be covered in next lecture of our course. My name is Tayfun, and in next lectures I'm waiting you. Basic principles of reconnaissance. Reconnaissance or recon is the first step of the kill chain when conducting a penetration test or an attack against a data target. It is conducted before the actual test or attack on a target networks. The findings will give us an idea of where additional reconnaissance may be required or the vulnerabilities that can be capitalized upon during the exploitation phase. Reconnaissance activities are segmented on a gradient of interactivity with a target network or device. So passive reconnaissance does not involve any malicious direct interaction with the target network. So the tracker source IP address and activities are not logged. For example, a Google search for the target's email addresses will not leave a trail that the target can detect. So it's difficult, if not impossible, for the target to differentiate the passive reconnaissance from a normal business activities. So passive reconnaissance is divided further into two categories: direct or indirect. So direct passive reconnaissance involves the normal interactions that occur when an attacker expectedly interacts with a target. So for example, an attacker will log on the corporate website, view various pages, and download documents for further study. So these interactions are expected user activities and are rarely detected as a prelude to an attack on the target. In indirect passive reconnaissance, there will be absolutely no interaction with the target organization. In contrast, active reconnaissance involves direct queries or other interactions, for example, port scanning of the target network, that can trigger system alarms or allow the target to capture the attacker's IP address and activities. So this information could be used to identify and arrest an attacker or used during legal proceedings. So therefore, passive reconnaissance carries a lot less risk, but its active counterpart has its limitations. Penetration testers or attackers generally follow a process of structured information gathering, moving from a broad scope, so for example the business and regulatory environments, to something much more specific like user account data. So to be effective, testers should know exactly what they are looking for and how the data will be used before collection starts. So using passive reconnaissance and limiting the amount of data collected minimizes the risk of being detected by the target. The information that is targeted for collection is dependent on the initial goal of the penetration test. For example, if testers want to access a personal health records, they will need the names and biographical information of relevant parties involved like their usernames and their passwords. Third-party insurance companies, healthcare providers, head of the IT operations in any industry, commercial suppliers, and so on. If the root of an attack involves social engineering, they may supplement this information with details that give credibility to the request for information, such as domain names. Identification of targets for the attackers or penetration testers during an external scenario begins with domain names, which is the most circular element of open source intelligence. Subdomains. These are the domains that are part of the main domain. For example, if the domain offered to the target is sample.com, it might be used demo.sample.com, production.sample.com, e-commerce.sample.com, and so on. Identification of these domains will provide the attackers with a wider range of assets to assess in reconnaissance phase. DNS entries. In today's cyber world, everything can be potentially networked. This means each device that is connected to the internet has unique IP address assigned to it. Likewise, the DNS entries are a list of human-friendly names that are assigned to specific IP addresses. For example, demo.sample.com that is translated to an IP address is the format of, for example, 120.x.x.245. So DNS entries include a host name, NS, name server, CNAME, canonical name, MX, mail exchanged, 4A, DNS record to IPv6, and SRV, service record, TXT, which is text record obviously, and PTR, pointer record, which is opposite to the A record. So all this information will provide the attackers not only with the details relating to the DNS, but also a wide range of other information, such as what type of service they run. So which attackers can utilize to begin equipping the attack strategy. Mail exchange. Although we will find the MX records from the DNS entries, identifying the mail exchange is treated as a completely different set of enumeration, since most of the time they involve a third party that provides mail delivery services, which can be potentially utilized by the attackers to send bulk emails by exploiting the SMTP normal functionality of the mail relay. DNS reconnaissance and route mapping. Once a tester has identified the target that has an online presence and contains items of interest, the next step is to identify the IP addresses and routes to the target system. So DNS reconnaissance is concerned with the identifying who owns a particular domain or series of IP addresses, information such as who is, although this has changed a lot after the General Data Protection Regulation, and the DNS information defining the actual domain names and IP addresses assigned to the target, and the route between the penetration tester or the attacker at the final target. So this information gathering is semi-active. Some of the information is available from freely available sources, while other information is available from third parties such as DNS registrars. So although the registrar may collect IP addresses and data concerning requests made by the attacker, but it's rarely provided to the end target. So the information that could be directly monitored by the target, such as DNS server logs, is almost never reviewed or retained. So because the information needed can be queried using a defined systematic and methodological approach, its collection can be automated. In next sections we will discuss how easy it would be to enumerate all the domain names just by using simple tools that are pre-installed within Kali Linux. My name is Typhoon and I'm waiting you in next lecture. Hello, my name is Typhoon, and in this lecture we're gonna learn how to gather domain information in Kali Linux using Sublister tool. We will utilize the sublister tool to perform domain harvesting. This tool is not pre-installed in Kali Linux, however it can be installed by running the sudo apt install sublister in the terminal. So, but if you don't have updated your apt yet, just use sudo apt update. Here, Kali. And after updating your apt, you can install the sublister, last version of sublister here. Apt sublister. Oops, sublist. Apt install, of course. Apt install sublister here. So this tool is written in Python, which will enumerate the subdomains of primary domain using the open source intelligence techniques. So it utilizes APIs such as the Ask search engine, Google, Bing, Baidu, and other search engines here. Additionally, it also performs searches in Netcraft, VirusTotal, DNS Dumpster, Threadcraft, and reverse DNS, while also performing DNS brute force using a specific word list. So once the tool is installed, you can run a sudo sublist 3rd, and for example our target in this case I'm gonna write, for example, like GitHub. Of course this is not an attacking purposes, of course. T here and with this E parameter you're gonna specify the Bing or a search engine, for example. You can also specify the Google to use search engine for finding subdomains, for example Bing. And in this case we're gonna use the Bing search engine and press enter. Enter your Kali password, which is default is Kali as well if you download it from official Kali Linux website. Okay, so sudo sublister 3 GitHub and T3. Let's actually now try google.com. Okay, as you can see here, we get the subdomains that openly available by Google here. So one might encounter an error message of VirusTotal blocking the request. This can be fixed by adding your own API key by entering export vt API key, and here your API key here. So an API key can be generated by creating an account in at the virustotal.com's official website. Hello, my name is Typhoon, and in this lecture you will learn about OCR framework. OCR framework is a tool designed by Evisio to perform open source threat intelligence as a web interface with consoles such as OCRF console. So to install this framework, you have to install the pip3 by running sudo apt install python 3 pip here. Here you have to run this command in terminal. If you have any problems, just update your apt by using the sudo apt update command. Here the pip3 is already installed. Here finally let's the OCR framework tool can be installed directly through pip3 by running the here, let's clear by running the sudo, actually not sudo, pip3 install OCR framework. Here. OCR framework provides the threat intelligence about keywords in multiple sources and also provides the flexibility to be a standalone tool or a plugin to Maltego. So there are three handy modules that come with OCR framework, each of which can be utilized by penetration testers during external threat intelligence data collection. We have USFI here. So here we also, as you can see, we got the USFI not found, but can be installed with sudo apt install OCR framework. So let's install the OCR framework here. So the apt install OCR framework also. OCR framework here. This is just a 4 MB file. Here the USFI here, let's run USFI now. As you can see, we run this. So the USFI, this is used for searching on multiple search engines to identify the keywords in a URL and to automatically enumerate and store all the results in CSV format. So this command runs like this: USFI n parameter, for example, Oxaly. As you can see here, we are waiting to. Let's open our file, see anything is created or not. Here, open folder. As you can see here, we got the profiles.csv. Okay, as you can see here, there is the profiles that we got here. So as you can see here, we have Oxaly account, which is most of them is not belongs to Oxaly, but here, as you can see here, we can also use the mailfi. This identifies a keyword and adds the email domains to the end of the keyword. So here, mailfi, and here, for example, Oxaly, like this. Here, we got the example here. This is verifying the email addresses. Got a little error here at the end of the job, but here we got no email found on these websites. We also have searchfi. So this searches for a keyword in Facebook, GitHub, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So the testers can run searchfi here, q, and in this braces, double quotes, Oxaly, your string here. Here. Let's open the profiles, the CSV, and all the data will be saved here in profiles.csv data format. So you can play with this tool more, but it has so many examples and parameters. You can do it by yourself. Hello, my name is Typhoon from Oxaly, and in this lecture you will learn how to use web archives as open source intelligence tools in this lecture. When something is deleted from the internet, it is not necessarily completely deleted from the everywhere. Every page that is visited by Google is backed up as a snapshot in Google's cache servers. So typically these cache servers are intended to see whether Google can serve you the best available option to base your search query on. So that the same technique can be utilized by attackers to get information about a given target. For example, say a hacked database's details were posted in, for example, sampledatawebsite.com, and that the website or the link is taken off the internet. If the page has been accessed by the Google, this information can serve you as a great source of information for attackers, including usernames, password hashes, what type of backend was utilized, and other relevant technical and policy information. So Wayback Machine maintains a digital archive of the internet web pages. The link here is to web.archive.org. This is our archive website. So here you can get the archives of web pages. For example, in this case, I'm going to get our website oxaly.com's archive, and here we had 2022, for example, let's 7th April. What was our website looked like at that time? This is what our website looked like back then at 7 April. Here, as you can see here. Let's see here. Actually, as you can see here, there's a no Wayback Machine achieved archived by URL because it's a YouTube channel. I think Wayback is not using YouTube channels here for saving. Here, as you can see here, this is our courses back then. So let's see if there's any new Waybacks here. No, it's 2023, and there's no Wayback that our web's archive.org captured newly, because it's just that 2023 is just starting. Hello, my name is Typhoon, and in this another Oxaly lecture, you will learn how to gather usernames and email addresses and use scraping techniques. A technique that attackers utilize to extract a large number datasets from websites, whereby extracted data is stored locally in a file system, is called scraping or web scraping. In this lecture, we will utilize some of the most commonly used tools in Kali Linux to perform scraping. So let's gather usernames and email addresses by using the harvester tool. So the harvester is a Python script that searches through popular search engines and other sites for email addresses, hosts, and subdomains. Using the harvester is relatively simple, as there are only few commands and switches to set. Here, firstly, I'm gonna share these commands and use all of them, of course. So let's actually use the harvester. As you can see, you're just writing the harvester and running in terminal, we'll get something like that. And here we're gonna run the harvester. Let's call the help, and here there's an options you can use when performing and running the harvester and using scraping techniques here. So now we're gonna use the t parameter domain. So here we will use our own domain here, the harvester d. This means we're gonna enter the domain after this parameter here, auxily.com, and after that here we're gonna enter the L limit. We're gonna limit the number of search results. As you can see here, default is 500. So if you don't enter any parameters, the default is going to be 500, but I don't want a lot of results because it's my website and I know what's inside it. Here we're gonna set and limit to 200, for example. And now we're gonna use the big Google. This is the browser that we're gonna use here. Let's translate it. B source. Here there's an options you can use as search engine or other kinds of engines that search things, such as Rapid DNS, GitHub Code, Hacker Target, Hunter, IntelliX, Omniscient, Security Trail, Sublister. As you know, we already use this tool, DNS Dumpster, and other search engines, for example Bing, Baidu, and Google, Yahoo, Zoom. Here enter invalid source because there's no Google option here. Then we're gonna use Bing or Bing, Google, GitHub. Yeah, we will use the Bing here, target auxily.com. This is our own website. No, nothing is found because our website is not so famous in Bing, and we don't actually give the search and scraping access to Bing here. Let's actually use DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Same result here. Let's actually use Yahoo. And let's actually use the github.com. No mails found. Bing. I'm gonna search on the Bing, and here we got the IP addresses and subdomains about containing to GitHub. So here, and the attackers can utilize the LinkedIn API to extract list of people within a given domain and easily form a list of possible valid email addresses and usernames. So an example will be when an organization uses the first and last names within the format of, for example, at auxily.com, for example, at auxily.com, the harvester tool can be utilized to enumerate the user details on who is currently working on organizations also. So we can also use the obtain user information in next lectures with Tiny. I'm waiting you in next lecture. Hello, my name is Typhoon, and in this lecture you will learn about TNI. TNI is online reverse image search portal developed and offered by the TNI.com here. In short, this is a search engine like Google, but it allows the user to search using only images. So this information can help the attacker to map images to the target and can be utilized in a well-defined social engineering attack. So I'm gonna here upload our logo here, see what it can find for us. Yes, this is the outputs that we found here. This, as you can see, the appraisal. I don't know what's the connection between our logo here, but as you can see, these are the same fonts. So it searched with the font here, and also it searched with the Oxa here. So let's find another image here. Let's actually upload our YouTube banner onto this website and see what it will give us here. Here, upload another here. 0 matches because actually I newly created this banner for our website here. So let's find another image to upload it and test it if it can find. So here I'm gonna copy this, paste into Linux, and so actually this is our car repair courses image. So let's find it. 0 matches also. Okay, we have another image here. Copy on this. This is some website, cybersecurity event wallpaper, and let's see what it will find with image search. There's a 13 results that give to us here. These are the websites, different links, and yes, this is how TinEye works. So it's not as effective as possible, but sometimes it will help you on open source intelligence. And if you have an image to test, you can use this website. The public generally utilize Google to keep themselves updated. Google it is a common idiom that can refer to a search for any type of information, whether it be a simple search query or when collecting information on a given topic. In this lecture of our Oxley course, we will narrow down how penetration testers can utilize Google through dorks. So the first step in understanding Google hacking database is that the testers must understand all the advanced Google operators, just like how machine level programming engineers must understand computer operation code. So the Google operators are part of the Google query process, and there's nothing illegal with them. So operator here, operator item, the item search here. So there's no space between operator and the colon here. And here, let's start with the in title, which is very popular Google dork here. So in title, for example, Oxley. Here, this shows us the page title keywords that has Oxley in it. It can be used with other operators as well, and it can be used alone. Here, as you can see, we got all the results that has the Oxley on the title. And we also have all in title, which is, it's going to show all keyword search at a time in the title here. So it cannot be mixed with other operators, but it can be used alone here as like this. We also have in URL, which is searches the keyword in the URL, like for example oxaly.com, like this. And here this in URL can be mixed with other operators and can be used alone. So for example, we can use oxaly.com categories. As you can see, we got no results here. So we also have site, which is sites, oxaly.com. So this filter Google search result only to the site, as you can see here. And it can be mixed with other operators, and it can be used alone as well. And we also have ext or file type, which is they are actually the same. You can use that like that. File type Oxaly, which is we don't have any file types, or file type zip, but Oxaly, or we can do file type PDF. As you can see, we got all the PDF that we got here. So we also have all in text. This is the keyword search for all number of occurrences, and it cannot be mixed with other operators, but it can be used alone. Here Oxaly, and here we got the almost 5,000 results that has Oxaly in it. We also have link. Actually, yes, the link here, external link search on a page. This dork here cannot be used. Cannot be used with other operators, but it can be used alone like this. For example, link oxaly.com. Oops. I'm not a robot. Here. As you can see, we got all links that has oxaly.com in it. And we also have in Anchor, which searches the anchor link on a web page. We also have the num range, which this limits the search on the range here. For example, 23 Oxaly, like that here. And the num range can mix with other operators, and it also can be used alone. So we also have date range. This is limited, for example 2022, and here we got this. We also have author or Oxaly. Here we got non-operators. This is just an Oxaly. Here you can try this with other keywords or websites. We also have group Oxaly. As you can see here, we got this. And we also have lastly related Oxaly, like this. So this is the Google Hacking Database. So we can utilize the Google Hacking Databases from Exploit Database, which is constantly updated by security research community. You can, as you can see, this is bookmarked in the Kali Linux, Mozilla Firefox, which is we're gonna learn more about these websites in next lecture. Hello, my name is Typhoon. Welcome to this another Oxaly course, and in this course we're gonna go over a few useful scenarios for how to use Google operators. First, let's search for in title, like index of here. you use the space between index of here and press enter. So this will give us a list of web pages that support directory browsing or like traversal. So this directory browsing is a hacking method that allows attackers to access restricted directories and files within the website and executes a command outside the web server's root directory. Here, as you can see, we got a videos here. Let's watch this. Since it's officially uploaded to Google, I think there's no problem if we watch this. This is some hotel and spa video. I think that it's advertising. Yes. So let's go another website. Here we have like so much folders and plugins like this. Like you can dig these files and sometimes you find something useful here. Here. Intel. This is, I think, some of the compilers. I think it's F compiler. What's the videos? Yeah, videos files is empty. As an example, let's try in URL. So as you can see here, so you can actually try and like here investigate these websites for yourself. I might suggest you do not harm these websites, but it's your choice, of course. So we can also use in URL admin here. So this search will return sites that have admin or administrator in the URL itself. Here. So sometimes there are associated login pages like this, for example, Slido admin portal. Yes, this is like admin pages. This query will show us admin pages or administrative login pages of websites. Let's try a different one in title Open Webmail. Here. So Google will show us some servers out that they are running Open Webmail. So you can also try the in title mvblog powered to find blogs or websites powered by mvblog. So mvblog is prone to several different input validation vulnerabilities. So I could just quickly go and find the several targets out there that are using that technology as a part of my pen testing process. So here, as you can see, this means that they are using mvblog powered. As you can see, powered by mvblog. You can also have Open Webmail. This might actually the Open Webmail, I think they had some vulnerabilities, which we will try later in this lecture. This is just an open source intelligence section of our Oxley course. Here, let's actually try the in title root. The thing's getting serious here, right? Pass here, and after that, as you remember in previous lectures, I said you can use in title with another parameters as well, and we're gonna also add the in text here, in quotes, home here, like that. So surprisingly enough, this can show you the password directory for a few Linux boxes. As you can see, we got just 7 results here. This firstly is, of course, the Google hacking database, Google Dork. This is a Google Dork that published on Metasploit. Actually, you can find more Google Dorks and like pen test your ethical hacking skills with this Google Docs as well. Of course, do not harm this website. This is what ethical hacking is. So error logs are yet another valuable source of reconnaissance information. So error logs might tell you what servers running on their user behavior, or even the controls they have put in place here. So for our first example, we'll try the in-text parameter, in quotes here, access denied for. And as you can see here, we got the first Stack Overflow because someone asked these questions in web. Or we can also try the shopping cart. So this kind of show us exactly which sites are using MySQL in the back of their shopping cart. But of course, there's a more precise way to finding MySQL running websites. But this is just a basic examples of how to find like in-text shopping cart here. So let's take this step further. So you probably already know that you must be careful about which devices you're hooking with to the internet, and with every device that has a web interface. So that's because people can probably find it. So I will demonstrate this with intitle by typing intitle BlueNet video viewer here. BlueNet. I think the Google viewer here. As you can see, this is an old Google hacking database, Google hacking dork, which is actually, I think they covered this up. As you can see, we got no results here. In some cases, I've been able to use this to take control of a camera on the breaches in the previous like 2010s or 15s. But you can do this with several popular cameras. You just need to look up the specific name of the camera, for example, like here, like this. So let's try another example quest image.html. Here, this is another old, actually it's not an old 2020. This is an exploit database. You can see this is as well Google Dork here. Let's see what we got here. This is some strange URL. Let's look at this. Okay. We can also use in URL root acp acs anon here, anon acs here. So the results will take us directly to the main page of Outlook Access public folders and an Exchange address book here. Some of these websites are actually slow. Here, as you can see here.